Yo, 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 what's up? Here we are, live again. I don't know how I managed to do it in many respects. What's up, Balefell? So, the leading consensus is I have what's called a pinched nerve. It is pretty fucking rough, but it's supposed to go away by itself in most cases. And I've been seeing some improvement when I do some, like, different stretches and shit. So, with any luck, we'll get it resolved. What's up, Alexander? Thank you for asking. I feel like it is better than the worst part it was yesterday, but it was also really bad this morning. Probably because I was like in the same position the entire time because I was sleeping. I actually felt like I slept okay, even though it took me longer to get to bed. And then I just woke up from a nap a little while ago that was about an hour and a half, which is more than I wanted it to be, but still fine. So, yeah. It also helps to sort of know what it is, as opposed to not really, like, being completely in the dark, more or less, about what the hell to look at here. And I was kind of dreading sitting down for a long period of time, but with the, I just stuffed 2 pillows behind my back, and that seems to be assisting, keeping a posture that is otherwise kind of more difficult to handle. There was something that was really weird, is that I feel like my, there might be like muscle fatigue or something related to it, or something to that effect. I'm not really sure why. Like earlier, I was trying to lift both of my legs up because that's part of the stretch. Like one of the stretches that you can do is you can like just extend your legs like full as like towards the sky as you can put them. And I couldn't. I could do one or the other, but for whatever reason, both of them. It wasn't like I was tired. It wasn't like my muscles didn't want to respond. It was just like they wouldn't. And that's really weird because I've never had that happen to me. But I guess that is a symptom of the whole thing. So hopefully I won't need to find some physical therapist or something. That would be pretty shitty. But I'm pretty sure it'll be on the outs in a couple days. So here's hoping anyway. And in the meantime, we should be able to pick up where we left off, which was manually sorting through a bunch of frames here. Actually, it looks like, indeed, I was sifting through a bunch of these. I don't remember if I saved these. Saved these as to get rid of flip row order. It looks like I did. And I do want to get this graphic processed just because infantry graphics are super rare. And so, like, I pre-processed the infantry graphic, the tank graphic. I think there was one other. Good old Anti-Man. Was it Sarge? Yeah, and I actually did the gun truck. That's why there's a GRP file there. And the transport. Oh, yeah, I did this guy, too. And I guess technically this guy's done as well. So I should move him over here. But move all these guys. The physical descriptions for the custom units. Just in the Hydra art page, which might not even be linked anywhere. Let me see. Oh yeah, it is linked in the main art, or the main page. It says there's like the task sheet and the art sheet. And so some of them have descriptions, like the Shaman, Cyprian. Basically everything that's in here has a description. I have not fully written out other descriptions. It's actually a good point. I should probably get to that at some point. So maybe after I'm done processing all this shit, I can go back to doing some planning for that. I have definitely been on the outs when it comes to motivation to continue working on Hydra, and I think part of that is not really because I'm fed up working with Hydra. Like we're on the precipice of a pretty exciting thing where we have the extenders, right? That's why I'm like doing all these graphics processing, because I might be using some of these placeholder graphics for some of the new units that I plan to add. And it's really exciting in that respect. Like there's some pretty cool developments happening. And I'm learning more C++, I'm learning more ability to write hooks and stuff. So there's like no end to the tasks that I can do, and no end to even the more interesting tasks that might help us out. But I do distinctly feel like there's an issue related to, I don't know, it's just being able to sit still and work on Hydra after working on it for a long time. It might just be burnout as opposed to like specifically like me wanting to like me being bored with the work. It might just be that I've done it so much that I'm seeing that greener grass on some of the other projects. And of course, it helps that there's campaign crap around the corner. I'm certainly not going to be, working on a Hydra campaign for that. I still haven't 100% decided if I'm going to be doing Ahmed's Adventure, but it seems like I am. One of the alternatives would be that Deerfucker thing where I made a couple of random maps like the Skinmaker, Total Deer, which was that installation map where you play as Protoss and you're fighting. You're on Badlands terrain, but then you go inside and there's installation everywhere, stuff like that. And then there's Conspira3, which is an old Mapcraft submission. So there's all sorts of weird shit that I could do. It's just that even that's not like really fully planned out. I don't have a solid set of like a linear story from mission 1 to mission 5 or mission 1 to mission 10 or whatever. Whereas Ahmed's Adventure has a lot more planning behind it already, so it's more immediately interesting. Especially if I want to release something before the end of the year. Now this is a bit of a different, like this is kind of an aside. But if you look at the campaign listing, one of the most interesting aspects, right, of the whole thing of the campaign listing is that there has been a campaign released and added to the, like, a campaign that actually is a campaign and not like a remake of something else or whatever. There's been a campaign released every single year. 2020 currently does not have one yet. And I was taking it upon myself to get one out every year. It was kind of a personal goal to get one out in 2017 with Inconsummate, 2018 with Hydra, and then I was like, all right, yeah, in 2019 I can also get something out. But pretty early on, Necron released the Unity AI project, like one of the first complete drafts of it, which is one of the reasons why it's on there. And then eventually Andrea Rosa released their campaign, Voices of the Swarm, in October. And so we already had an entry there, right? We still don't have an entry for 2020, and we may never get one. And it may be the first year where that streak gets broken. And again, like, this is super aside. Like, it's not really a super side point. It's not super important to me that happens, but it would be nice. It would be pleasing to continue the streak in that sense. Oh, the Vorvaling specifically. Yeah. Well, I should definitely get the Zerg ones taken care of. I have envisioned the Vorvaling as having 6 legs instead of 4. Although I guess the Zergling itself actually only has 2. So I guess the Vorvaling would have 4 and then the front legs. It's just really, you don't look at the Zergling in its current draft and think, oh yeah, that thing is hopping around. Like, that's just lunacy, right? So oh yeah, I was trying to put some music on, but I seem to have forgotten to do that while I was busy making some other point. And the good news is I feel pretty good about sitting down and actually getting work done, so we'll go for at least 2 hours and hopefully a little bit more depending on how much work I can actually get done. And then I should be able to record part 12 of the Brood War Let's Play where I suffer through Kerrigan's wrath. If I can bang that out as soon as possible, it'll be too soon. You know what I mean? I mean, it will be too long. It's already a ridiculous amount. I'm not quite sure what was missing from this. Maybe I didn't write a... What else is in the done section? Oh yeah, was I going to do a shadow for this? I mean, it looks like it's... It looks like it's meant to be... It doesn't look like it's meant to be a I don't know what you would even use that white engine frame for. I think you would just turn this into a hovercraft, to be honest. I can't imagine that looking good as just a toggle on, and I can't imagine it looking good as flashing on. There's not enough subtlety to the animation, so I'm gonna go on a limb and say that's probably not what you want with that. What's up, Betsujin? Currently watching your LP of the original campaign. Glad you're enjoying it. I'm honestly surprised in a pleasant way how many people are just like, oh, yeah, none of this shit makes sense. Like they're sort of taking the red pill there. I am also personally like, there's a term for it. It's not really Schadenfreude. It's not really like I'm not really pleased about it, but I think it's good that I'm reanalyzing the project myself because a lot of the points that I'm coming up with, it's not like I already have these points really like well thought out and in my head completely developed. I'm looking at the playthrough and I'm like, or I'm looking at the content in front of me while I'm playing it, and I'm mostly riffing on this stuff. I'm mostly coming up with it on the fly. Some of the points I'm already, broadly speaking, aware of. Like when I made the point that Kerrigan humanizes the Zerg. I mean, that's a critique of the story that has lasted for a long time and that I've been introduced to for a long time, and I've already sort of analyzed and audited in that sense. Whereas some of the more subtle stuff is definitely not something that I had plans for, we'll say. Yeah, I think I can just chuck that over there. So yeah, suffice it to say, I'm also pretty happy with how it's come out. I cannot help but look at this as like it's some kind of Razor Claw X project or something. I also still really can't believe that my infantry is so fucked up. Definitely was not thinking of that. All right. Oops. That's not what I wanted. But I do like that the barracks graphic appears to be it looks like it's like a face or something. There's like giant eyeballs and stuff. So that's pretty cool. That's always nice. All right, let me check this out. So we have 73 versus 84. So we want to just round that down to 72, 82. So we want to take 10 and then 60. So we'll take 70 off of this side, 60 on the left. So we go from 212 should be what we go to here. Yeah. Okay. And then from 212, we're dropping 60. Or no, we're dropping 70. So then we'll say 142. And the top and bottom seem pretty much symmetrical. So we can say 208. We'll drop by 50 on either side. Not sure. Maybe the north and south might be a little too much. Oh, it looks like it was fine. Alright, let's quickly process these ones. And I guess we'll figure out the building now. Right. No, that's cool. I mean, honestly, if you were interested in doing concept art and stuff, it would probably significantly simplify the process of like doing the converting the idea I have in my head to a 3D model. It's like that's like the missing step, if that makes sense. So, like right now, I convert the idea into my head into a written piece, and then that's interpreted into a 3D model. But that can take, a long time, obviously. So. Yeah, I don't know about this command center graphic. I like how the almost built frame is just a bunch of shit that's floating with no like. Look at all this stuff that's just floating on the ground. I'll probably have to add like copy this tube over it or something. That's I don't know about that one. It's pretty fucked up. What's up, Abe? I'm afraid I cannot make a graphic out of your nuts. That would be perfect, but would it be a building? Would it be a unit? It's just so hard to figure out. I guess this will have to shoot a missile because, unfortunately, there's no animation for it looking like it's, like there's no muzzle flash animation, basically. I guess I could copy something over. A building for infested Darrens. These nuts are being harvested, Cerebrit. Return them to the beacon once they are... I just imagine Daggeth telling you to harvest these nuts. Exactly. I don't know that I would be able to actually use this graphic in any capacity, but you know. What? Dude, look. They put a little house icon down here. Why did they do that? Why is there a little go homo? There's a little go homo icon. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure this graphic is... They have two of the same frame, for one. And I'm wondering if it's even... Is it meant to, like, spin all the way around, or... Like, why does it spin one way? It, like, tilts it on itself just once. I feel like I have a broken graphic or something. But that's all that you even have in here. There's got to be more men hiding in here. I think the Prowler was already taken. Yeah, somebody already converted this. I think it was Voyager, so I shouldn't need to worry about that. Did I already pull out the Prowler bay? Doesn't look like it. Can't believe Molehead and Cracker. I think I already looked at these. Oh, maybe. Oh, no, I don't think so. That could be useful. Yeah, I think these are all, let me pull all of these out. Most people find it much more difficult to do organic materials. At least that's been my experience when talking to people. Okay, glad we have a copy of that. That's very useful. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess since you're writing it, it's a little different. All right, so I'm done messing around with that. Oh, maybe this turret has the firing animation? Oh, yeah, look at this. Dude, this turret has an animation and everything. Screw this. No wonder. I mean, it's called a bunker. Who the fuck would go in the bunker, dude? Just go in the turret. UA tank. Oh, yeah, this was the... This is Lunatic Dragoon. I might have to mess around with that. Oh, wait. Undo. Let's get this UFO going. This will be super easy because we're not going to keep any of their animations. Which is unfortunate, but pretty much just how it has to be. I like how this UFO just has like a missile place for missiles on its front or something. I don't know what that is. I also like how half the details, including the team colors, seem to just vanish from the north-facing frames. That's cool. Look. Hey, I think they forgot the team color. I guess I'll have to fix that myself later. That could definitely be useful, but it's a little weird. Seaman Man? What does this guy do? Oh, I think he's an engineer or something. I feel like most of this shit is... It's not even finished. Guys! Guys, we have a Mecha Ahmed! Do we have Akhmek? We have real Akhmek, guys. Dude, look at this man. Dude, this is Akhmek right here. Fucking tremble, mortals, and despair, because Akhmek has come to your world. Holy shit. It's Akhmek. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's Akhmek. What's up, Mutas Dozen? What's up, Dark Metzen? Yeah, dude, listen. Why do you think I'm calling him Akhmek? What else? What other purpose is he gonna serve? Holy shit. I've never been more excited to batch process a man in my life. Just closed everything. Classic. Oh shit. Dude, you brought Ahmed to the masses. I really shouldn't remove the hotkey for closing everything. Definitely unnecessary. Hey. Oh, that's fine. It's alright, man. Hey, eventually Hydra's gonna be so big that more people play it than the remasters. So. Could you imagine? Listen, they're gonna take one look at Akhmek and be like, I need to play this game. This is my game. Venational wings, by the way. Yeah, yeah. The number of the caliber of opposition he has in his streams. It's like I'm talking to Volka. All right. Oh wait, yeah, this is Northman. Okay, this is like if somebody took an SUV and gave him steroids or something. And most importantly, a flamethrower. I don't know what comes after that. Volka? No, I don't think so. I had to help him set up OBS recently, so I'm assuming not. What? Oh. That actually does remind me. I should probably update the. Wait, is that real? I guess so. A ludicrous anti-air attack, huh? I can definitely see an argument for that. I think I needed 5 per set or something. Reasonable stuff. He's not infested, guys. He's just a cool guy. Oh, dummy. Did I get enough? No, need one more. Yeah, one of them comes out of the cockpit because Ahmed's belching. And that's the one that deals the most damage. A downside to the monitors that I'm running is that every now and then I can see errors in Windows Explorer because the refresh rate is higher, so that shit that displays for half a second or a split second is now a little bit easier for me to catch on to. Wait. Is that right? Pretty exciting that we're going to have all these new graphics, as even if they are only placeholders. Because I don't think I'll ever get to the point where shit like Ahmed's Adventure gets a significant number of its own graphics. I think I'll be pilfering placeholders from a wide swath of places. Oh no. Yeah, I was gonna take a look at the manual, but I think that's where the second image came from. Oh. Did I forget something here? I don't think so. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now I'm confused. Because if we grab the final... Here we go. We're going to be off by one... We're missing one frame in the animation. We've got 2 facing north, 2 facing south, 2 facing east, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's only 16. Huh. Maybe I had a 7 facing... or 6 facing north, east, and southeast before. I'll just get a third east-facing frame for now, and hopefully that's not too disconcerting. All right, see you later, Alexander. I'll let you know when I got something for you to take a look at. Should be later on today in this stream. Alright, well, we have our first frame set anyway. I just need to find... all of the different animations here that I had previously taken care of. Okay, cool. Ah! Don't do that. This is where, under normal circumstances, I can only imagine... Wait, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Oh, yeah. I mean, one too many. iQuare would probably be like, let me make something to automate this process. He already talked to me about that, but he hasn't done it yet, and I still feel like processing these graphics, so I'm here. I made one extra one for that one, too. Ah, shit. I did it all over the place. It's alright, it's easy. Easy to fix. Just using your delete key. Same way you fix Starcraft 2. Homo stretch for this one. I big brain math to that one. I don't know how. Ah. Sometimes life feels like a real giant fever dream, man. I don't quite know why. Right then and there, I thought for a second I was doing all of this with my num key, or my num lock off. I was like, what the fuck? How? I also got a new mouse pad today. I'm adjusting to that as well. It's a little bit bigger than my old one, but I probably need to figure out how to position it a little bit better. Because it has this little ridge. At the edge of it, which I didn't know. And it's not really the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely... interesting. To say the least. Alright, well, 11 frame sets of a man later. I think I already indexed him. So I want to figure out how I'm going to crop him. What? You crazy boys. Alright, so this is it normally. Tempted to make it 69, but that's probably not necessary. I think we'll just eyeball this one. There we go. A much better shot of Akhmek. He doesn't appear to have a ready up animation for his gun. Like, it's so I guess I'll have to use the idle one, which is fine. Dude, this man is a man. Dude, check him out. Alright, I'm just gonna set him up here. So we'll do main. Hey. He's probably taller than he is wide, we'll say, so we'll give him the infantry shadow treatment. Alright, while this is running for all the different frames here, I'm gonna hobble to the bathroom, so be right back. Or maybe not right back, but you know what I mean. Hi, I'm back. I'm glad as soon as I left, I get a message from a new guy. Well, if you're still here, new guy, Ultimate Zoomer, yeah, I was processing a man while I was, is the epitome of multitasking. I was processing a shadow. And, yeah, it's pretty epic. Pretty epic stuff. What's up, Veek? Yes, welcome. So here I do daily streams, usually earlier in the morning, but I've suffered a unfortunately timed back injury yesterday, so I'm still recovering from that, which is why I'm hobbling around like a fucking 80-year-old. But barring that, usually my streams are early in the morning, and I go for a couple hours, 2, 3, 4 hours to mod Starcraft 1. Well, it will not work with remaster, but it's super easy to throw 161 onto your computer. In fact, I can drop a link in chat. I should probably set up like a Nightbot command list or something, actually. Just so that people are able to do that. I already have Nightbot in the chat, but I don't actually know. Dude, holy shit, I forgot about Black Phillip ASMR. Poor guy. Haven't uploaded to him in a while. Alright, let me... here we go, commands. I'm glad that there's a guest command and all it tells you is shit about Dynamo. So that's pretty funny. Alright, so... exclamation point install will be it. Let's see if that worked. Of course, I can't see my own chat. I have to load it up in another tab. Does not look like it worked. Destroyed, to be honest. Oh, maybe it's not joined into the channel? Let me see. Ah, here we go. Oh, right. I was trying to set this up, but I couldn't set it up as a moderator because the community settings tab wasn't loading. I think they fixed this now. Yeah, they have. Alright, here we go. Save. Okay. Should be good. Alright, now let's try that install command again. Well, fuck you, Nightbot. You asshole. I'm not quite sure why it's not working. Maybe it'll take a sec. Oh. Oh. Anyway, I'll just post the link since Nightbot doesn't want to cooperate right now. There you go. Check it out. So, now I can read the chat. Do I think this will ever come to remastered, or is modding the Blizzard version just gay and doesn't work? Yeah, so modding can work on remastered, but you're super limited. So you can't have, like, it's completely unreasonable to add new graphics due to their new graphics system. It's possible, people have done it, but it's, like I said, unreasonable, I would characterize it as. And it's also unreasonable to have to make two different versions of the graphics, which is what you would want to do. In the same vein, you can't customize tile sets nearly as much. You can modify existing tiles such that you can clean up their walkability or their buildability. At least you could before, I don't know. That's the other problem I'll get to in a second. But like a lot of any custom graphics, you basically can't add. Any sort of system where the implication behind the system is you want to do something more advanced, you can't. Like a lot of advanced AI editing and a lot of advanced game editing for like adding custom behaviors and stuff just it is inaccessible. And that's related to memory patches. So without putting like overloading you with a bunch of technical data, the way that mods work is they find memory addresses. At least the way plugins work is they find these addresses where certain memory functions are. So say there's a function that deals damage to a unit. So we would, if we wanted to add a new damage type or change how damage interacted with a specific unit or a specific weapon, we would have to take that function and modify it in some way. And this is called writing a hook for the function. You translate the function into something that you can edit, and you edit that function, and suddenly you have more functionality. You have more tools at your disposal as a modder. And this process is pretty annoying to do, but it's at least possible to do in 161, the older version of the game. In Remastered, all of the addresses, the locations in the code where the functions are completely different, and they change every few patches, which actually breaks mods, and will continue to do so forever. To the point where the modding tool for Remastered has to be updated, and then every mod for Remastered has to be updated. So there have been people who have made mods for Remastered, myself included, who will no longer be able to, you won't be able to run their content, because they stopped supporting, they stopped updating everything. They stopped keeping track of that stuff. And that's like the main issue, is that a bunch of shit just changes. And sometimes features get removed or are no longer accessible for some amount of time. It's frankly an unacceptable area for anybody to have to go through that shit as a developer, as a player, because not only does there's no built-in system for re-downloading a mod once it's broken either. So the best you can do is just have an error message that says, check for updates. It seems like you're no longer, like your game version is incompatible or something. Then you can like offer a link or something. But even then, I don't think that's even feasible to do. Maybe it is now, but back when I was modding it, it wasn't even feasible to give people instructions on how to patch it. You just had to add that to the README, which most people don't read anyway. So, yeah, suffice to say, it's a shit show. And as a result, until they stop patching the game, until they stop updating it, which seems to be never. It seems like they're never going to stop updating it, basically. So when it reaches end of life, when people stop supporting it, when the developer pulls support and stops patching in new microtransactions and other bullshit, that'll be when we have the opportunity to dig into the code base and edit it. But by that point, I think everybody associated with my community will probably be starting our work on our own RTS by that point. And it would not make any sense to do all of the work that we did for the older version of the game over again. There's really not that many features that we would want to access in the remaster anyway. Let's see. Yeah, Vik, I don't mind you having some base for your campaign. Glad to hear that you've got some progress. Yeah, they just outsourced all of the art to some Malaysian company, I think, Lemon Sky Studios, and their developers slapped Chromium on everything. Like all of the UI in the game is now made out of Chrome, which is why the game performs like shit and crashes all the time. Well, like the UI itself will crash and you'll need to like restart it or whatever, or reinitialize it by moving to a new screen and then back. It's pretty to see how far they've fallen is pretty embarrassing, we'll say. I don't think that you're expressing skill when shit is automated, Vik. I think it's the opposite. I mean, you probably had an easier time, but that doesn't mean you were expressing skill. Yeah, pretty much everybody in my community is gonna say no to anything that like. There's not really a defensible point of the remaster. I'm sure some people like the Carbot skin. I'm sure some people really do find the remastered graphics themselves to be appealing. But I just look at it as it's just a bunch of like either at best it's a gimmick, it's a parlor trick, it's something that you put on there and you're like, oh look at this, it's an accoutrement. It doesn't actually make the main thing sellable. You know what I mean? And that's what they wanted it to be. They wanted the remaster to be like, oh look at these graphics in 4K. Meanwhile, they made everything unreadable as fuck in what was hitherto the most readable game. Now when I watch pro games that are like actual recent pro games, I'm stuck dealing with the fucking remastered graphics and can't tell what's happening. Oh, okay. Nightbot is here then. Imagine requiring 2 gigabytes of RAM to enable real-time lighting in a 20-year-old game. It's okay. If you enable real-time lighting, your eyes get burnt out anyway, so it's actually helping you. Don't worry, I can still see the message, so. The amount of blank screens I get in remastered. Oh yeah, that's part of the shit being destroyed. I don't know what you mean by limited hotkeys. Wait, there's auto queue? They added auto queue in StarCraft 2? I fucking hope not. That's even more embarrassing than I thought if that's the case. Dude, how did they forget their team color? Anyway, you can have plenty of macro without looking at your base. And with Hydra's plans to add up to 4 multi-select for buildings, I think it'll be fine anyway. You'll have to tell your workers to mine, but that takes a very little amount of time. Oh yeah, and earlier you asked... Yeah, but how do you refund remaster? Just wait for your money to come. Well, that is its own question, man. I don't... That's pretty funny, though. I don't think Blizzard does refunds anymore. Alright, what am I doing next? I wanted to do Anti-Man, but he's pretty much just a meme, so... I think we'll do Sarge instead. I mean, it's notable that, you don't actually need to pay for the game. Wait. Yeah. My brain is definitely not working correctly today, so I have to automate simple math because I'm a clown emoji. But yeah. Fuck, I completely lost my train of thought. Classic. Talking about remastered. Oh yeah, you don't have to pay for the game. Like, the whole thing is free, so... That's one of the few advantages to modders in that sense. Because we could just tell people... Well, game is free to play, so you are free to download, you know, whatever version of the game you want. Okay. Yeah, you're only paying. Well, you're paying for the ladder as well. I don't think it matters if they're officially free. They the base game without any remastering, without the skim pack and multiplayer, or skim pack and matchmaking, is the free part. I mean, maybe there's some versioning shit in the EULA. Microsoft Edge, you fuck. Get out of here. Why? By the way, Microsoft Edge, also based on Chromium. You can't escape it. It's everywhere. Meet the new Windows OS. Built on Chromium. I personally don't mind too much about the whole lore thing, but I do agree that if it's supposed to be a remaster, they should have been faithful to the original. And then given modders the tools to do whatever the fuck they wanted to elsewhere. They basically made a whole bunch of promises that seemed to be exactly what the Starcraft, a lot of the Starcraft complaints were for the Warcraft 3 remaster. But everybody knows how that shit show ended. Though that was another game where, like, fans of the game didn't want to acknowledge that the original game also had flaws, so they just cloaked everything behind Warcraft 3 used to be a good game. Like, I'm not even sure Warcraft 3 used to be a game, man. So the lack of intellectual honesty in that crew was pretty unfortunate. And sapped at the worth of their arguments quite a bit. But, at the same time, imagine... imagine we're just removing the ability to play the older version of the game. Pretty psychotic. Dude, I feel like I got owned by something here. What happened? I'm gonna have to undo all that work. It's not Control Zing anymore. What the fuck? I guess it only saves so many. So, what exactly happened here? We are missing some frame. Okay. That's weird. I might have to jump into the, It looks like I'm just flat out missing one of the frames that is northeast facing. I'm not quite sure how that would be possible. It looks like all this stuff is correct, and then we just miss one. You know what I mean? So we're gonna go ahead and stuff these over here for backup, and did he make a new one? Yeah, how do you not just immediately ban people who use nukes at the beginning of the game or whatever? I saw that and I was like, wait, is that some glitch? But I guess it's actually a hack? Like they actually hacked it and that's how they did it? Like, the fuck is this? Oh, this is a really old graphic that I converted. Man, that ridge is really smacking me. I don't know how to fix that one. I guess I have to do it like this. Okay. Back to it. I gotta find Sarge, dude. So from 232 till 28. Where's my man? Oh, there he is. I don't. Well, again, I don't know how it works. It's never been something that's been particularly interesting to me. I liked the one where you could cancel uh, a pylon of your own and select your enemy's structure to see what they were building. I thought that was cool. For a while, you were just dropping Protoss, or you would crash them because the other part of that is if there was no structure that had started to build before the pylon did, or if there was no other structure in the middle of being built when the pylon that was being built was canceled, you would crash. And wait, I think it happened again. No, maybe I'm just confused. Yeah, okay. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so there's nothing for you to select, so you select something that doesn't exist and then you crash. So for a while, you were just getting free wins on ladder as Terran by going like 10 CC. Because they would try to do that exploit and they would just die. Well, in StarCraft 2, you could also just warp in Immortals through through warp gates a while back. I think it was a similar thing to what you're talking about. I didn't see evidence of that, but I definitely saw that. I saw a video of the warp in Immortal thing. It is humorous to me that Immortals are responsible for some of the more insane things in the game. Oh, no wonder I'm getting pranked over here. Dude, some of these animations are just like... Wait, no, never mind. That's embarrassing. Not quite what I was going for there. I clicked on the wrong thing. False alarm. Brain not working. There's already a 160. What happened here? Classic. Ugh. Dude, holy shit. Windows is so confusing. Wait, what? What happened here? Ah! I've lost my brain! Dude, what's happening? God damn it. Fuck. It's all down to the drain. Well, immortals are, due to the hard counter nature of their weapon, they basically destroy everything. Alright, fuck this, dude. Fuck you, Sarge. I love you, Sarge. Except for the fact that you are infuriating to try to process. Yeah, they just hard countered shit. As usual. I think I got confused by... $234. I probably processed this incorrectly, if I had to guess. At least in that matchup, they definitely annihilated that. And then otherwise they were really good at killing roaches. Can you believe Legacy of the Confederation prophesized roaches? Roaches! Oh, I saw something that encourages players to group hatcheries or something. I think they already do that enough, so it's not really necessary. And then it also overlaps with the whole point of upgrading hatcheries. Like, hatcheries are not going, or larvae, rather, is never going to be a problem for Zerg, assuming they have any number of the upgraded hatchery variants, pretty much. I was thinking of something that would let you reduce the morphing time of things, but that's already an Irolith upgrade. So I don't think that's as big of a deal. But the other one was something about spreading more creep, which I'm also not convinced is... Like, I just don't... I'm not immediately seeing the impact of it. I can see where it fits thematically into the Zerg, like, racial theme, but I'm not seeing how it fits into gameplay. Like, at what point would it make sense for you to get these upgrades? Or even for these to be behaviors, like, at what point is there even a real reason to use them as behaviors, you know? So I'm not sure how they justify the design space that they would occupy, is another way of putting my confusion. Hold on. How the fuck did that happen? I added 17 to 85 and somehow got a different number. I think I must have fucked that one up myself. So if you can make a different argument for that, like explain why you would ever get one of those things. Like, Part of the job of an upgrade, in my opinion, my estimation, is actually to sell the player on getting the upgrade in the first place. And I'm not sure... I don't know, man. That's a completely black box as far as I can tell. We basically have to rewrite the algorithm that spreads creep in the first place, so maybe we can fix it with that. I'm not sure what controls when it can and can't spread. Oh shit. 53. There we go. Oh no! He became big. Dude, where the fuck is he? Oh. $104. No, it would still be buildable. Pathability doesn't dictate buildability. I've already experimented with that, and that's also a really brute force solution to the problem, which I would rather fix on an underlying engine level. Well, the fast setup of expansions and ability to claim buildable tiles... How about an upgrade that increases building morph speed by like 1/3 or something really significant when the building is placed on creep? And this would include hatcheries and so on, which would encourage you to move basilisks to new bases or whatever. Yeah, well, can't really say that I'm against hacky workarounds. I mean, principally I am, but this is the real world where those are pretty much all we have for the time being. Because, anyway, the point I was making about the, oh, shit. Dude, that really annoys me. Every time I disable it, it just re-enables itself later. Maybe I can use, like, the group policy option to delete that or something. No. No, we're good, I think. Nice. How do I have a 2-4? How? We have... Let me get this straight here. $17, $18, $19. Oh. That's how I have a 2-4. Okay. Oh, wait. But yeah, the idea that I'm getting at, anyway, the fundamental principle that I follow when it comes to adding new upgrades to the game or whatever is, I mean, obviously I want to make it impactful. I want to make it worthwhile. And I want to make it balanced in some way. But to make it attractive, which is part of making it impactful, really, if you're trying to use this upgrade to solve a problem or to make something easier or whatever the case may be, like making sure that, well, just allowing it to work in that sense, I think is fine. I mean, we already have creep spread speed passively upgraded by tech level currently. So the creep spread speed itself, or creep spread like the extension of the AoE of it, I don't think would be universally helpful anyway, because some expansions aren't going to have a whole lot of buildable space. Or if they do have buildable space, maybe it's separated by unbuildable terrain. And so that's a little bit less catch-all. It's a little bit less useful more ubiquitously, right? And it's also, like, requires the hatchery to be down there in the first place. Where I think, like... Maybe that helps you understand anyway, but... No. Hold on, what? Saving the investment would save borrow time in a pinch. I don't know what you mean. Oh, you're saying it... If you could quickly deploy creep colonies on the front lines... Okay, never mind. I thought you were saying something else. Hive could allow morphing hatcheries to spread creep. Oh, you mean like as soon as the hatchery goes down, it starts to spread creep? Suppose that is an option. Fuck off! Why? Go away. Of course, they had to name the browser Microsoft Edge. Metzen's preferred browser. And then Baleful says maybe an upgrade about increasing the speed of creep spread and the rate at which new buildings morph on creep. Well, like I said, creep spread speed is already increased by tech level, so having an upgrade further increase that, like, what do you want it to do? Spread across the entire map at light speed? There's not really much. There's a diminishing returns with that, I think. That's why I made it a passive and not something that you have to upgrade. Is Chris Metzon a joke? Metzen has never written anything worthwhile. Not to say that he hasn't reached a huge number of people due to his position, but if you take a look at that guy's... if you actually take a look at the stories that he's considered the author of, or considered the lead writer of, yeah. Merge underused Overlord Vision upgrade with Hive level. Yeah, I think all the sight range upgrades can just be merged into the base unit or combined with other upgrades. Like, one of the earlier things I did with Hydra back in the remastered days was I actually took... I increased attack speed for ghosts when they were... with the sight range upgrade. I try to do both things there. Do I already have 78 or? Finally. I think we're good here. I mean, we don't have a death animation for him, but... Uh-oh. Wait, did we fuck this up somehow? Oh, I think I can fix this in frame set mode. Ugh, pranked. Well, it wasn't a solo effort by Metzen, but it's certainly, like, I think Brood War was when he had more power as a writer, whereas Vanilla was a bit more grounded at first, although it still suffered from a lot of the same issues. I'm actually doing a complete playthrough of the series right now, and sort of taking it down here, critically speaking. But, yeah, it's not great. This last frame set looks exactly like these two frame sets here look identical, so that's pretty epic. I'm glad I processed all those extra ones for no reason. So this one is 2 down. Yeah, okay. So I just need to swap each one of these. How big is this? 80 by 96. And I think we're good. Are you talking about Starcraft 2? Nobody's arguing for that, man. Just play Brood War. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, it's a pervasive issue. One of the main reasons why Metzen was just disposed of in the way that he was. I mean, the guy made his money, but they figured out pretty quickly that they didn't actually need to have him on staff. That they could just, like, basically automate him with a JavaScript. Mm. Need to make a shadow out of him for real quick. Oh, yeah, I already have the index. Here we go. Okay. Made this man. Well, I'm probably going to end the stream pretty soon, even though it's not even been a full 2 hours yet, just because the discomfort level is still getting there. But, what am I thinking here? What am I checking? So yeah, after this, I'm probably just gonna have a lie down for a little bit, and hope that the R&R allows me to get back up and smash out the next Brood War video. But presumably I'll be feeling better tomorrow, so I'm sure there'll be time for some CS then. Gravity shield. We almost done here? Oh man, we're not even halfway. No, we are halfway. Well, in the meantime, I guess I'll do a shadow for... Who did I do before this? It was Akmek? Phantom Vehicle. I just never GRP'd the shadow there. Ak me, ak you. Has Ahmed gone too far? Barak, by the way. The Karak, but Barak. Would you look at that? Wait, what? Oh, wrong folder. All fine and dandy right now, but... all I'll say is... at least he doesn't fucking jitter around like the infantry graphic that I'm gonna have to do later. Look at this man. You think everything's fine, and then suddenly his fucking... his whole body shifts to the right by like 6 pixels. And that's pretty much true for every single attack frame, it looks like. I don't know how they managed to miss that one. Yeah, I say it that way because he's got a capital F. So it's infantry. Well, I think you can have more defensive options as long as there's like a supply cost or a more disproportionate resource cost. Because supply cost is a resource cost. It's just a matter of how long until you need to spend that resource or spend those resources. Well, it's not just that though, because you have to handle an aggressively expanding or increasing sphere of influence. Zerg are a little bit different because overlords don't really take up as like space in the same way. But the more overlords you have, generally speaking, the more vulnerable you are to being smashed by air raids or whatever. Reasonable. Sup, Spider? Man in the chat. Check out my man. Yeah, in that way, supply is very distinct from just resources because as long as you're mining, there's no overhead to resources, but supply requires overhead of your base layout or your expansion, like your sphere of influence. How well can you protect stuff? So I look at it like that. You know, it's not a huge issue. I think it's fine. So static defense, I think I was on the right track when I decided to do stuff like the prismatic shield upgrade, the rapid reconstitution, and tendril amatosis upgrades. But ultimately, there needs to be some more improvements to that, like the missile turret range upgrade, and then like the fusion sealers is a good upgrade generally speaking. But they definitely don't scale, like Balathel's pointing out. That only really occurs in like really long games right now, but it certainly can occur. I think it's possible to get stuff done in such a way that like I don't think it's impossible to add more static defense in a meaningful way or more defensive options. And I think part of it is probably removing the static element of it and allowing for units that have more of a defensive role. But buildings offering a defensive role, I think that should be possible to do. Photon cannons are an example, I think, of a set of like they are pretty high DPS static defense. So they definitely work in that sense. It's just that they're individually fragile. Honestly, I could see, like, the thing is, like, bunkers are an example of static defense that are really useful, but they do have that supply cost intrinsic to them. I think if I reworked all of the basic static defense to having a supply cost, I could significantly increase the power budget of them. But I also think that that removes something from the identity of the static defense in the first place. So what I would probably do is keep everything as it is right now for the existing static defense, barring some more upgrades to improve things. And then I think after that, I would be looking into ways to add more utility or more staying power to static defenses and making it so that, you know, you really have to invest into smashing through a base and potentially lose a lot, especially if reinforcements show up. Well, the problem with upgrading structures is that you inherit the build space, usually the collision size, just for the sake of it being consistent. You inherit a lot of factors about the actual structure that it's based off of. And I think if I end up adding more static defense structures, they're almost certainly going to be much bigger, especially the high tier ones. There'll probably be a static defense at tier 3 and tier 5. Maybe I can fill out extra ones for tier 2 and tier 4 as well. But I think a new static defense structure for all that seems reasonable to me. The Chasmal Colony is kind of a static, it's not a defense structure, but it's a static utility structure that enhances other nearby units and structures. Definitely one of those things that is, like, it's tier 2, it requires a lair, I think, or a mutation pit or something. It'll probably end up just requiring a lair in the future. I do think that, you know, Terrans might get some sort of upgrade or substructure thing that they can do by adding floor gun traps or something similar to that. They might be able to add those as damageable turrets to buildings. And I think the fact that the turrets would be damageable, they probably wouldn't cost supply, but there would be like a certain number of hard points that each structure would have, and bigger structures would have more hard points. So you'd probably see people trying to like throw them onto engineering bays and lift them off around, because engineering bays are among the bigger structures. Oh, you're already going to get the movable static defense with the World Eaters, the worms. Yeah, photon cannons being movable inside power fields, that might be something that I explore as an upgrade. Something that it converts them into units, makes them, you know, block building space and collision, collide with units still, but, you know, they'll visibly hover, they'll be able to move around, maybe have them move at a pretty decent pace, like a little bit faster than a Reaver probably. You borrowed a name from something? Oh, World Eater. Yeah, that's been the work in progress, like the placeholder name for the giant worm. Sunken colonies being upgraded to a new colony that takes some supply but does more damage could be good. Yeah, that's true too. I mean, I was thinking of greater sunken colonies and greater spore colonies a while ago. And something that Veek did a while back was allow sunkens to morph to spores and stuff. I would be interested in allowing you to unmorph to a creep colony. I don't know about morphing directly to the other competitor. But that might be something that unlocks passively after a certain tech or a certain upgrade or something. Right. Oh, I didn't know that about the sunken and spore thing. Like, my main issue with the idea is it reduces the I feel like it allows Zerg to bypass stuff a lot, but I think by making them morph back to a creep colony first, I think it would be useful. I might end up doing that for the Protoss conversions as well, since it's only a time cost. Because I think once you upgrade the creep colony once, it would just be a time cost to morph it back down. Um, though if you had to upgrade it to a greater status, that would probably be a permanent decision. Like if you're going to upgrade it to a tier 2 sunken colony or whatever. Tier 4 and tier 5 being more explosive in unit pop than tier 3. You mean, are they going to cost more? Yeah, there's probably going to be individual units that cost like 30 supply and stuff, but that depends on a lot of factors. Like, I still haven't really figured everything out. And some things are going to be more akin to buildings, like penumbras, which might end up having a different name in the future anyway. I am still taking crazy ideas for that stuff, by the way. If anybody has like absolutely like you just think about it and you're like, well, that would be really cool, but it's also fucking absurd. I mean, I'll see if I can work it in, because tier 4 and tier 5 is going to be absurd in that sense. More units on the field or better, stronger units. Well, the tier 4 and tier 5 units, like, there will be a mix. So some units will be unlocked that are meant to be like more like they commingle into the army, right? Like ghosts are technically tier 2 in Hydra and tier 3 in regular Starcraft, obviously, but they're not incredibly expensive on their own. So there are going to be a few units that are like that for all the races. But there's also going to be a number of units that are more like Ultralisks or battlecruisers that are like high end supply. And then there's going to be significantly stronger units that cost like I said, 20, 30 supply a pop. Yes, shield upgrades apply to buildings. Anything that uses shields. So, could be a power up too. Yeah, people have pitched the mutually exclusive upgrades for a while. I think the main concern is that you immediately get into scope creep, as Eidolon put it for a different thing in earlier yesterday. But you get into an issue where you basically have to build a bunch of tiered options for all of these different upgrades, right? And upgrades aren't the easiest thing in the world to come up with, so. Now, if you were just talking about a situation where you have, like, either get Zergling speed or Zergling attack as, like, an example, obviously not something I would implement. Yeah, I could see a world where that could be the case. Are you talking about Devourers, Spider? Closer to air units and maybe doing an AoE attack. Yeah, the upgraded Spore Colonies idea is not a bad one. Well, there's already an upgrade called Critical Mass for Devourers. But I feel like I'm not really super happy with the implementation of Devourers in their current field. I definitely think that they, even at only a measly 3-second like, they have less than half of the cooldown that they used to, and it still feels like they take forever. Okay, maybe not. Maybe they're fine. Maybe I'm just misremembering because I haven't seen anybody use them in a while. But yeah, they don't AoE anymore. But what they do is once you upgrade them with critical mass, well, like it says right here, targets with 6 or more corrosive spores explode for 30 explosive damage and spread their spores to nearby combatants. And this includes all air units and ground units as well. So it's even more. It's technically increased power budget, and the unit is reworked to exist as a tier 2 unit, right? So we could have a situation where we have like this is my test section earlier, but as you can see, they're spreading quite nicely. Now, the only thing is it doesn't... like, as you can see, at this point, it's just gotten pretty crazy in terms of the number of spores. But like that's the kind of thing that we're looking at here. And if you can do it, it can be really useful. It's just that Devourers themselves are much they're less tanky now with one less armor. I do think that maybe it's too high a gate where the spores themselves don't like having 6 spores feels like it is hard to get to that level unless you have 6 Devourers and then in which case it hits it in one shot. Oh, you're talking about like unlocking completely different units. That's basically what the escalations did, though. So, K crazy, you. So yeah, I mean that's one example. I do think that again it is rather underwhelming right now, but I do think that it's more positional because it's like, oh, you've got a split second before it detonates and spreads to nearby units. I think it's like a 1 second timer. But dealing 30 explosive damage is no joke there because that's like, compounding it. So if we were to go get it again, and then I was to no. Oh, dummy. Well, that test went better than expected. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, again, you're never also remembering that it also reduces armor. You're never going to be really only engaging with Devourers. Yeah, I mean, that's the other issue is like, it's hard to imagine a world where the like currently they don't spread it on death, right? So that's the other thing is like, it's hard to imagine a world where you actually do have a significant amount of time to get 6 stacks on them, and then like that's probably the biggest issue is the fact that it requires those stacks. So I think I would just have to reevaluate and probably like redraft the entire corrosive spore concept because I can't imagine it working piggybacking off of the existing implementation in Brood War. I can't imagine that working and also having more positional gameplay added to it. I could see the graphic be moving a little slower and not following the target and dealing AoE at the site. The problem then is like they automatically deal AoE, which is not something that I want them to do. I do want them to remain single target. So even that wouldn't necessarily work, the idea of it being a fire and forget projectile. Well, Devourers are pretty cheap now, so it's not really as much of an investment, but I know what you mean. I could probably reduce their resource cost even further. But if you look at the Spire, for example, Devourer Hunt is 150 minerals and 50 gas and requires a lair. So again, like, could tweak some costs, but they are meant to be quite an attractive option for mid-game armies. Oh yeah, just completely change the unit. Good idea. But anyway, we're obviously using a very limited amount of testing, where we're only seeing this unit in action by itself without like compositions built around it and against like uncommon compositions as well. I do think that if somebody massed battle cruisers, Devourers would work pretty well, just by virtue of the fact that as soon as they slam into like 6 spores into one target, you could see a pretty significant increase in DPS from other units. Well, the positional gameplay I'm talking about is the fact that after 1 second of being at critical mass, there'll be a new read for this channeling thing, and then they pop, and it deals explosive damage. Maybe the explosive damage is dealt in an AoE instead of just to that target, and that could be another way to add value to it. But again, it is increasing the positional aspect of it, but not sure if it's that useful. But that's where it is at. So it's like targeting a specific unit. And then for your options for static D, I generally want to avoid adding armor to a unit if I can, because it is just stats. I mean, damage and armor upgrades feel pretty... Well, the spores will land. It's a guarantee. Guess I could be increasing the unit's range to turn them into more of an artillery type thing. That could make them a bit more interesting. Yeah, the spores are 100% guaranteed in terms of like hit landing the target as soon as the projectile launches. Well, they're subjected to focus fire. Yeah, they are weak as fuck, which is why I was saying probably dropping their vital stats even further, but making them artillery units would probably solve that. I don't even think it needs to be an upgrade. I think it can just be their combat role by default. And yeah, the upgrade itself is quite expensive, so I think it could probably be dropped in that sense. It also requires hive tech. But again, I mean, I don't want to make significant changes to the upgrade itself and to the unit's combat role itself. Like, I want to do one at a time in that sense, if possible. No, I don't think line AoE makes sense for the spores. I think you could conceptualize. Here's a different idea for their weapon as well. If we are going to be making them more of an artillery unit, what we could do, in addition to giving them significantly increased range and dropping their vitals, turning them into kind of a siege unit, right? It's an anti-air siege unit. I imagine this will keep it relatively niche in that sense. So I think that's fine too. Like, I don't even think it's something that you need. All anti-air only units are going to be relatively niche, right? But I think that you could make it so that what units intercept the projectile, whatever unit is in front of, like, any air unit that the projectile collides with is what gets hit. And that could make it a little bit more positional as well. Yeah. And then, I mean, again, you already have the new unit, the Gorgoleth, which isn't implemented yet, but that's like a frontliner. It's literally a melee air unit, so it's 100% a frontliner type thing. I really want to change his fucking name, honestly, because Devourer is such a generic, boring name. I'm not sure how it goes from like long range to having to suicide. I don't quite get that connection. It feels very thematically disconnected in that sense, but I am kind of tempted as well to cannibalize Scourge and put them back into as an upgrade for air units, so that all air units drop 2 Scourge for every supply they cost when they die, or something like that, like 2 Scourge for small units and like mutas, 4 for large or whatever. I don't know, something like that. I'm tempted to do that just because I find the idea of a suicide unit be like it's so niche to the point where it feels really stupid on a conceptual level. But they already have their combat role. I don't think I need to fuck with them particularly. Well, they would be much harder to access, so I don't think that they would be nerfed. But well, positional gameplay is pretty king. Like in the sense that it provides you with ways to express your skill as a player. It also provides ways for you to track how well good and bad players exploit the unit. Right? So like Stimpack and marine positioning and stuff. Like that's not positional gameplay in the truest sense of the word per se. But like you positioning your units, especially against mutas and like kiting and stuff, like that's a core positional gameplay with that sort of thing. I actually don't mind the upgrade that it would allow them to regenerate, like immediately revive upon killing a target. But I think it would be, I would have to go a step further and say there would have to be an upgrade where when a Scourge kills a target, it that target spawns 2 more Scourge. Because if you have to invest 6 Scourge into killing a battlecruiser or something, I mean, not that the Scourge will even get anywhere close, but maybe a carrier would be a more apt option. At that point, it's like getting 1 Scourge back is not going to help you. I mean, even getting 2 Scourge back is not really going to help you per se, but it'll be a little bit more. Well, the benefit of having evolved Spires in Hydra is that they actually research upgrades significantly faster. Well, significantly, it's like 15% faster. So you save on a lot of time. A concern that I have is that I feel like Spires are super overpriced, but modifying the Spire, the cost of the Spire, I mean, especially considering its build time, but modifying its cost feels to me like I would imbalance the first set of mutas that come out on the map a little bit. Like it would be a little bit, just a little bit cheaper. Like, oh, if I drop the gas cost to, or the mineral cost or something, I could see that really fucking stuff up. And obviously, gimmicks like reducing Spire cost when you already have a Spire is like out of the question because it's just way too inconsistent and hacky. But I would consider significantly reducing the cost of the morphs so that they only cost a little bit of money, and probably doing the same for, well, Spires in particular, like the biggest offender, because like what a greater Spire is 150 gas and 100 minerals. So all told, not even factoring the drone, you have to spend 300 minerals and 300 gas just to get a fucking greater Spire, and forget about the amount of time that it takes to gestate. So maybe instead of even modifying the time cost or the resource cost, I could shrink the time cost down. I wanted to do the same thing with the Lurker Den, actually, because it's a pretty big price investment from the Hydralisk Den. of 150 gas right there. It's the same cost as the Greater Spire, so the idea that it takes forever to build is a little much. You have a feeling you have the feeling that 15% decrease isn't that impactful given the initial morph time cost. Well, like I was just talking about reducing that, but remember that the 15% is permanent as long as the structure lives. So it's not like it only works for one time. Like you easily make up the time cost of it. It's like the future station add-on time cost is easily made up like with the first upgrade that you get basically. That's not true for the spires because they're all including the base morph. All of the morph times for the spire and the spire morphs are insanely high. It's like 75 seconds for a regular spire, and then I don't know what it is for the rest. Well, no, so spires, it's not that they have time cost. It's that when you morph a spire into an upgraded version, just like the Hydralisk Den into an upgraded version, or the spawning pool into a Vorval Pond, or the Ultralisk Cavern into a Keskath Cavern, all those advanced upgrade structures, like a mutation pit from an evolution chamber, they research upgrades 15% faster. And that's a permanent benefit that they get. So yeah, it's 75 seconds for a Greater Spire. And for a regular Spire, it's also 75 seconds, right? Well, first you said it's not impactful, and then now you're saying it's boring, so I'm not really sure. It doesn't feel like you have a cogent argument, and I also don't know how planning a timing around... I mean, you certainly can plan around the timing. You just need to know what it is, which just requires you to master take in the information. Displaying time costs on the command card when you mouse over something would probably help. People figure that out, generally speaking. As well as maybe even going as far as to display a percentage in the middle of this. Like maybe, or below it or something. Or next to evolving or whatever. So you'll be spending time on an upgrade that may or may not add a little bit of value to a unit based on unit placement of the player's skill. Well, it's expressly not random because it's based on skill. But I do agree that right now it's underwhelming for the opportunity cost, the overhead of using your Spire for something other than weapon or armor upgrades. Yeah, it would definitely have to become slower, I think, because it's pretty quick right now. I think it's the same speed as a Muta. What was it, 3E? Oh, I guess it's already a little slower. It's certainly faster than the Devourer. I mean, than the Guardian, by a considerable degree. So maybe if it did become slower, it wouldn't be a much. I already think by reducing its vitals, it would be a considerable nerf. No, I'm not thinking of adjusting the Spire cost at all. I'm thinking of reducing the time cost and maybe the resource cost of the morphs. The resource cost would definitely be a case-by-case basis. But the time cost, I mean, I think even the Devourer Hunt is... yeah, even the Devourer Hunt is 32.5 seconds, which is less than half of the cost for the Greater Spire. Or the Guardian Roost, as it is now known. So I think I'd probably reduce the Greater Spire to 32.5, maybe 40 or something like that. Like it wouldn't, maybe it's not as quick as the Greater Spire. I mean, as the Devourer Hunt, but the Guardian Rooster definitely should be reduced, I think, in terms of how expensive it is. Because Guardians themselves are not even really used that often. I'm not even convinced that they're used more often in Hydra than Devourers. I think they're probably an even split. I've actually seen more Devourers than Guardians in my own personal experience when it comes to humans playing. So that's not to say that there's not some other bias going on there where games just end too quickly for Guardians to show up, but generally speaking, I imagine. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think that there's room to explore there, but certainly devourers themselves by default do not provide a significant benefit. Even in Brood War, they like in the classic game state. I don't think that they fill a niche, but it's like almost like a hard code niche, like a hard counter type thing. It's like by virtue of them reducing armor and attack speed, they are able to absolutely eviscerate or contribute to the evisceration of capital ships and just aircraft in general. Yeah, it's just that they're never used in melee or whatever. Well, whatever you just posted reloaded my entire chat app, Roller Skate, so thanks. It would be more interesting if it would be more impactful. Okay, so you were just making the same argument reskinned. Kind of not very helpful, I guess. Also an investment, like for example, you would have to pay a lot of money to get it, but then you'd be able to improve your upgrade timing. I mean, that's basically what you do. It's like you're investing not only in tech level for Zerg, but also upgrade level. Or upgrade timing. I also think... Well, it loaded as a white box and reloaded my chat up. You wouldn't have a timing with this if the morph time would even out that 15% time cost decrease for first upgrade. Well, it depends on what upgrade you end up getting. So I can't like make that a rote thing. But even if that were the case where it evened out, I'm not even saying that it does. I think that for the future station it does. But the future station is an add-on that takes up more build space than the structure initially does. So that's why it's a little bit more feasible to have that cost less money and time, because it costs build space as well, which doesn't happen for the Zerg structures. I think it's funny. That's why I mentioned it. It's just an absurdism that compounds web development. Wasn't yelling at you for it. We were just talking about how I might modify the Devourers further. I was thinking of turning it into an artillery unit. I came up with a quick idea based on people talking about positional gameplay with regards to its projectile. Somebody mentioned it doing line AoE like the Lurker. I don't think that makes much sense for it, but I do think that if you made it a line in a different sense, where the first unit that it hits is what gets impacted by it, and it being an artillery unit with much higher range and maybe a little bit slower movement speed and lower vitality, I think I'll keep it at 1 armor, but maybe drop its health by 25 or something. I could definitely see a world where it's a unit that has a use for, like, maybe you drop, you even go into Queens and drop parasites on battlecruisers so that you can snipe them out with Devourers from afar. Could be pretty useful. Well, even your own units can get hit with stacks if the unit that has 6 stacks explodes, but I think it would do damage to anything that it impacts. I actually think that ally units and your own units would not be impacted if the projectile moved through it, because that's an insane amount of positional overhead, and it doesn't even make sense when you want to position your own units in front of the Devourers so that they can remain safe. Like, why would you make it so that the same sort of thing happens? So that definitely is not my idea. No, I know. I'm just riffing on the idea of it, how it would interact with allies. I think it just wouldn't. I mean, if an enemy unit hits 6 stacks and it happens to be near enemies when it bursts, then or near your own units when it bursts, then yeah, your own units are going to get hit. I also don't think making it an active ability is the right move either. I've been trying to reduce the number of active abilities in the base game so that I can make more room for new units having active abilities. But again, keeping the number relatively low. That's why like Maelstrom is now a part of, or a feedback is a part of Maelstrom, and EMP is a part of Irradiate, and stuff like that. So just having so many active abilities, I think clouds and adds overhead. It clouds a bunch of shit. So anyway, I think that's it for the convo. Yeah, but you're not just getting it for the first upgrade. You're investing into the future, and it significantly improves the timing of pretty much everything else. I think maybe 100 gas is a steep cost for it, but I don't think it needs to be reduced even further. What do you mean, would it just auto attack? Yeah, the Devourer would be an artillery unit. It would attack like normal. Yeah, and you don't want every unit to have an active ability either. That's another thing. Another pitfall people fall into, I think. Forgot to do the shit for the video there. There's an upgrade for Guardians that will create an AoE based on distance traveled by the projectile, but we haven't implemented it yet. Right, Veek. So if you make a +1 timing attack, right? I mean, I never get the evolution chamber, the mutation pit, before getting +1 for whatever my first thing is. I'm only getting it after +1 finishes. If you watch my videos of my VODs from Fraud Night or whatever, I'm always doing like +1 melee, ling speed, and I do a mutation pit afterwards. And I think that that's fine. I mean, that's me investing into the future and making sure that I don't lose speed on my upgrades. And I've not felt like I'm actually running behind in upgrades. If anything, I think I'm usually on par, and I'm pretty bad at like remembering to do the upgrades in the first place anyway. But I'm usually on par with that. And sometimes I'll find that I'm ahead, even from other players, let alone the AI. So, just in the interest of showing people the upgrade here. Oh, Acrid Displacement got pranked again. Where's the span that's missing? Oh, I guess it's the other way around, that the open tag was left somewhere. Oh. No. No. I don't know if that actually is the fix, but No, it isn't. But anyway, grants Guardians Guardian attacks a pool of acid on impact that deals 5 normal damage per second. The pool's duration depends on the projectile's travel time and does not spawn if the projectile travels less than 4 weapon range. Now, the Guardian by default has a weapon range of, I think it was 9. So it's 256 divided by 32, which I'm bad at math. Oh, it's 8. So you can get 4-second. If you attack from max range and it's a stationary target that doesn't kite backwards, you're getting a 4-second pool, and that pool is dealing 20 damage. So that's doubling your DPS. Well, not DPS, but it's doubling the damage you get from one attack, basically. And these can stack, so you can put like 2 of them or 3 of them. Like it's a pool is created for every projectile, so it's not like only one pool can exist in one area at a time. At least currently, that's the idea, and that's the big thing. So obviously, if you kite away from the Guardian, he actually gets more damage onto you, but you can just walk away from the pool, so it's not as big of a deal. Right. I think that there could be all sorts of different things that we end up doing for shit like upgrading static defense, and I wouldn't even mind the idea that maybe the Zerg gets some sort of something similar to a bunker where whatever unit that's garrisoned actually enhances it changes the weapon of the structure in some way. In which case, like maybe you garrison a Guardian into a structure, a static defense upgrade or whatever and that somehow improves, like changes the weapon or whatever that's used there. So, in that sense, you could potentially have static defense that fulfill that role or whatever. So, I wouldn't even be particularly mad there. And you asked earlier, Eidolon, about upgrades or siege mode for other races. There is a sort of siege mode. It's a form switch for exemplars where they gain significantly increased attack range. But they're not stationary when it's active, though. They just move significantly slower. And I'm still not 100% sure on that implementation. So I can't tell you if that's going to last. I don't mind the idea that you would like. I use a lot of form switches in general in Hydra. Like even I would even argue that Burrow is kind of a form switch, in that there's a trade off of functionality, and basilisks and lurkers are the only ones to use it where they get significant functionality. Basilisks spread creep, lurkers attack, but I think in that sense you would probably end up seeing. I don't know. There's probably ways for. For that to be explored further. I'm not sure specifically about a form switch that enhances range to the point where it turns the unit into an artillery unit and they're stationary and all that. But I've definitely explored the form switching, and I mean the Terrans in particular have a lot of it, but Protoss are also going to have a decent number. I think, and Zerg as well. You know, they already have some in vanilla. Ground to ground static defense that's not garrisoned. Well, the idea behind bunkers that I really love is the fact that they have an innate supply cost in them, and with Hydra there will be like 2 supply infantry that you can throw in there, and so it's like the supply that you are using for your garrison depends on what kind of units you're putting in there, right? So it's a little bit distinct there. Right? Yeah, I was just talking about the exemplar earlier. Ground and ground static defense is not garrisoned. Well, I was talking earlier about SCVs being able to place auto turrets on structures. You'd be able to put like 1 on small structures like a missile turret, or well, you probably wouldn't be able to put 1 on a missile turret because it already has a turret. But 1 on the bunker, 1 on the depot, and you'd probably be able to put 2 on smaller structures, like the production structures are now smaller, like 1 on add-ons, 2 on production structures, and probably 4 on engineering based science facilities. And command centers. So like I don't mind stuff like that, and that would basically be the garrison there.
You also need to play bio to use it. Well, yeah, I can see what you mean. There's nothing that garrisons the structure from other sources. I don't think I'll change that. The auto turret will probably require an engineering base similar to the missile turret. I think it'll have a small... It won't have a supply cost. It won't have a significant resource cost either. But I do think that maybe there will be some sort of passive that inherits... well, you'll probably be able... They will benefit from maybe vehicle plating and vehicle weapons, is what my current thought process behind that is. So they will scale. Bunkers obviously scale because the units inside them scale. I'm not sure about the rest, though. Scaling is definitely a thing that still hasn't been figured out when it comes to static defense. And barring abilities to just upgrade your static defense or building new static defense structures that we add, there isn't really a way to make things scale in that sense. You basically build small numbers of tier 1 static defense to hold early pushes and to halt harassment opportunities, like throwing down some photon cannons to kill off drops from Terran or something. I think that's fine for tier 1, and then we can have tier 3 and tier 5 defensive structures be used specifically to as a way to delete armies, basically, like as a way to contend with more large-scale sieges. And I think that's fine. I mean, I look at that and I think that's totally reasonable. So, on its face, conceptually. So we'll have to see how it plays out, of course. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. I'm going to chill out for a little bit and then try to record the ridiculous video that I have to deal with. So, really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you guys for contributing. Always a pleasure. I'll catch you guys next time that I do a stream. In the meantime, look forward to more of my suffering in video form. Bye.